And I also want to invite you to take the opportunity to get signed into your instance of Canvas so that you can follow along as I demonstrate things for you today. And as a reminder, and if you haven't joined us before, I will show you how to do something within the Canvas learning management system. I'll demonstrate it, but I'll also give you time to practice on your own. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout any of the presentation, or if you need additional time, just let me know, and I'm more than happy to provide that opportunity to you. So this is Canvas for performance-based teaching. It will encompass a lot of what Canvas has to offer, and we do start this session with the idea that you are already familiar with a lot of our Canvas features. If you're not, that's okay. I will slow down and make sure that I provide some guidance on that as well. For our agenda for today, we'll be looking at course resources. So best practices with files, how to leverage those modules, although we'll actually be diving deeper into modules on the 26th, how to embed content into pages. We'll be looking at the communication tools that are available to you in Canvas and how to utilize them to build engaging content with students. And then we'll be looking at additional practices with assignments and discussions and other LTIs. So again, as a quick note, Canvas for performance-based teaching focuses mostly on use cases for Canvas tools, not as much on how to use them, although I will demonstrate that a little bit for you. So the first thing I want to talk about are your files. So what I'm going to do is open up my Canvas course up at the top of the screen. And I want to point out that there's several locations where you can find files. You have files in your course file section. So when I select this area, these are going to be all files that are associated with the course itself. And so my files have gotten a little crazy here, but what I can do is I can come in here and delete anything I don't want for that's associated with the course right now. Or I can organize these into folders by dragging and dropping them where I want them to go. And then I can also create folders and upload files that I want to use for this particular course. You also have a user area under your account settings. And we'll wait for that to pop up. And you have files here as well. In this file section, it's going to list all of the courses that you have enrollments in. So as an instructor, and then you also have a global My Files area. Your My Files area is not associated to any of your courses, so students will never be able to get to the My Files section. Files that are stored in your course files could potentially be accessible to students, especially if you give them access to them. So here I'm just going to click on the current training course that I'm in, and you can see here it's listing the same files that I had available in this view here as well. So you can see I have a bunch of these oddly named files. So I can access them in either place. While working in the course, you can actually set permissions for different files. So if I wanted to come into this course settings and I have a media file here, if I want students to have access to this, I can actually give them access. I can send it to a student. I can copy it to another course that I have, or I can move it. But I also have publishing options. So I'm just going to uncheck that right now. Right now it's published. If students have access to the files area in my course, they have access to this file. I can unpublish the file, which means that students will not be able to see it. But then if I'm using it as a media component on a page, students won't have access to it. If you want students to have access to files, but only if you provide them the link, that's what you can do here. And then you can also schedule the availability so students only have access to a certain file between in a certain time frame. So you have a lot of ability here. Now, with files and performance-based instruction, you typically would have a lot of files that are associated for students and may want to have an entire folder that you create that you want students to have access to versus the individual folders. You can also upload entire folders or individual items at once by going to the upload button here. I can come to my documents area and I can decide I want the entire folder and I can select open. So all of the contents of that folder can be uploaded at once. It makes it convenient. It is really important to rename your files as well so that they're more user-friendly. So I'm going to click on this file here. It's a folder that has two different documents. It has an assignment and some HTML. What I can do is I can click on these three dots and rename the file to give it the title and topic name of the actual file that it's associated with and rename it there. That's when you embed files into a module that the name of the file is user-friendly. One reason why you may actually want to have your files accessible to students, especially in any type of music courses, or it could be a library of ensembles that you want them to practice. For any kind of vocational studies, you may have a library of manuals that you want students to have access to. In art courses, you could have folders for images required by genre. And even in world languages, you can have short audio recordings available to students that they can hear how it's supposed to be spoken and practice. So there's a lot of reasons why you may actually want to have this file area accessible to students. If you want this area accessible to students in your courses, you will need to navigate to settings, go to navigation, and move the files navigation menu and enable it. So it'll move it up to the top here so that students can see it, and then save your changes. What that's done, it's removed a little crossed off eyeball. So now students can access the entire file library for the course. Another thing that's important to talk about are modules. And so we'll be talking more about leveraging modules next week. I have some examples here so that you can see that you can have modules for flipped classes, face-to-face, self-paced courses, or even a blended learning model for modules. Here in the flipped classrooms, if you want students to view your lesson or content before they come to class, you can go ahead and insert an overview, but you would typically want to have some type of video available for them to view. Maybe potentially have it be a quiz so you can get a pre-assessment of what they know. And then you'll also want to have some kind of guided notes to get them started they can use while watching the video. Modules are a performance-based teacher's best friend. Since these classes are more performance and practice-based, modules can be organized differently than a core curriculum teacher would normally use them. Modules can be instructional units, like the one I'm demonstrating right now, or they can be used for primarily resource documents. Performance-based teachers should take advantage of modules being a collection of resources, and I'll demonstrate that in just a few moments. So I have all these examples that we'll explore a little more in depth in our next training, but you can actually create a module that is purely for resources. So here I'm going to type in resources for fall performance and add the module. In this module, I then can actually come in and add in the individual files that I want to incorporate for my students to have access to for the fall performance. Maybe it's a recording of a past performance that I want them to review and take notes on so they can apply it to the work that they're doing with me. Maybe it's just access to a bunch of sheet music or criteria for art projects or picture dictionaries for your world languages. I mean, really, you're only limited by your own creativity when it comes to uploading resources for students. Again, the use cases for this really is for all disciplines. They can have a module for resources. You can also have a module for alternative activities for students who may need some accommodations. I really like the idea of using a module of links to art museums for the fine arts, or maybe even having modules of current repertoire recordings for your fine arts music courses. But you're not just limited to creating a bunch of links right here in a module, which honestly for me is not a best practice. A best practice is actually having a page that you can provide some context around the resources you're providing to students. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually just going to click this plus sign. And instead of adding a file, I'm actually going to add a page. And I'm going to create a page and call this resources for fall term. And I'm just going to indent it one level and select add. So it's created the shell of a page for me. And what I can do is come and click on this resources for the fall term page. I can select edit. And this is where I can provide a lot of context to students and learners. I can add images using the embed image icon that's loaded here in the rich content editor. I can upload it from my computer, or if I already have these uploaded to my course, I can use my course files. And I can even use URLs, other Canvas items, or copy and paste. So let me click over here into upload images. For the URL, you can use an image that's from another website. It is used, but we don't suggest it as a best practice because websites are often edited and changed. And so a picture that's available on a website today may not be available tomorrow. And you want to make sure that your pages are up to date without you fixing them every day. So we do suggest that you actually have access to a picture or an image. Or if you don't have access to upload from your computer, that you can copy and paste from somewhere else. So what I can do is this is our agenda for today. But basically, I can take images and I can copy the image and I can come to my Canvas course and I can paste the image right onto the page. I'm just going to wait for a second. It doesn't like that image. Let me grab a different image. Just going to grab this image. I'm downloading it. So I can click and drag the image up from my download bar. That's one way. Or I can copy and paste it onto the page itself. And we're going to pretend like this is going to be a good page banner, but right now it's just a home page as one. I'm going to always make sure that I include alt text if I need alt text and adjust the ratio. What I'm going to do is come in here now. And so I've included some kind of a banner image. That's the best practice. But I can also start inserting resources here. I can insert links to files. So I can come in, I can insert my documents here. I can insert course media. But what I want to do is do a course link. And this is where I can gain access to various things. So I can include links just to the files area if I want them to have access to the files area. Or I can get a shared link of the file. So what I do is I can come in here and then I can grab my uploaded media. We're going to grab my profile picture for now. When I open up the profile picture, I can grab the link for it up here and I can actually link it right here in my course by adding its external link. So you can link your files this way, or you can just link to your basic files location. Now you're creating a resource document that has all the associated links to the files that students will need in one place, instead of having a really long module that has a bunch of links embedded into it. Again, you can also embed PDFs in this area. So I can embed documents here. I'm going to select them from my computer. I'm going to come to my documents area. Those are all images. Let me come to my assignments demo folder. And this is where I have a bunch of documents that I've loaded. So I can select the document and open it and submit it. So I do have the document here. What I'd like to do is go to link options and just preview this and expand it by default for students. And I also like to change the text name to just be words without the file type at the end. And I would say done, and I can say save and publish. And now this is the difference. So here, when I include a document, I can expand it by default. And if I have profile pictures, I can open up that link to the document and it's going to open up the document for me. Right there. So there's different ways that you can embed content onto an actual page. Again, we do suggest that you use the open inline preview if you are embedding documents, just because it makes for an easier experience for your learners. Now, there are other tools out there that are really useful. Sometimes you want to embed other things into your website. So we could embed a bunch of different things like simulations. Let me come here. We have these simulations here. It's a great website. I'm going to come to simulations. Right now, I'm just going to, we'll do physics. So here's the activities. I need the code. Where are you? Where is the code? Oh, right there in front of my face. Okay, so I'm gonna come here and copy the code right here from for density. And what I can do is come back into my course. And this time I'm going to use my little cloud and I'm going to paste the iframe code to call iframe, and we're going to submit it. And what this does is actually going to create an interactive page for students. So let me come here, click save. So I can embed documents, but then I can also scroll down and have interactive lessons for students where they can come in and they can start comparing density. So there's a bunch of other websites that have simulations, but you can embed simulations. You can also embed other things like YouTube videos. So a bunch of items here. I'm just going to get rid of the Venn diagram so it doesn't take up a lot of space. If I want to embed a YouTube video, I can find the video on YouTube.
As I'm in the midst of applying.
And I can go to my share options and get the embed code. And what we're looking for is the iframe. I'm going to copy it, come back to my Canvas page, click on my cloud, and paste that code. And it's going to embed the video right on the page. So now when I click save, I can include an instructional video that talks about the simulation below and allow students to actually practice with this. The simulations are really great because it allows students to actually mimic a science lab experiment or whatever type of performance that you want them to. You can also use the Google Map. You can embed your Google Maps here. And what you would need is just need the embed map code right here to make it responsive. And then you can actually put a map into your course. So here I would come to get to the HTML code. I can copy it. And then I can come into my course. I'm going to edit my course. Come here, paste the embed code, submit. And now I have a map on the page as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to make these pages more meaningful to students versus having just a bunch of links in a module. Oh, not that I really think this page is all that great right now because it's just modeling a bunch of different things, but I also wanted to make sure I was providing you with some practice time to whether you're going to upload images, link to files, embed a simulation, embed a map. I want to give you some flexibility and some practice time. So I do have a timer here for you. I am going to go ahead and start that timer. Oops. Sorry, skipping ahead too far. And then if you have any questions, I did it again. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat while you practice and play. That was just about your 5 minutes. I'm going to turn that off so it doesn't make a loud, obnoxious sound. I hope you found that time meaningful and were able to create a page that has some type of embedded content, whether it's embedded pictures, files, types of media, or simulations. What I'm going to do now is actually, I'm going to click over to this home button because I want to talk about announcements or the different ways that you can communicate information and content to students. So this is the home page right now, and I don't have any recent announcements because they would display at the top of my page. That is a setting that you would turn on in your course settings. So let me show you that very quickly. You would navigate down to settings in your course navigation and scroll to the bottom of your page and go to more options. And this is where you're going to select the ability to show recent announcements on your course homepage. Now, best practice says to limit it to no more than 3. I say best practice is no more than 2. When you have a lot of announcements across the top of the page, it pushes your homepage further and further down. And that's usually the meat of the content that you want students having access to. So I do highly suggest that you limit it to 2, but no more than 3 announcements at a time. Just make sure that box is checked so that they will display and update your course details. So I'm coming back to home because I want to show this in 2 different ways. You do have the ability to create announcements and view all of the announcements in your course in the announcements index page. But you also have the ability to create a new announcement using the right-hand side options, where you would typically choose your homepage. You can also create a new announcement here. They're both going to bring you to the announcements index page. Clicking the new announcement on the right-hand side of your screen just removes an extra step or an extra click for you as the teacher. Here is where you're going to make sure that you're including some type of a title or topic to your announcements. It can be an event reminder. It can be used to share forms or issue permission slips for the K-12 crowd if that's something you need. You can also attach maybe directions to where the performance center is that students will be going to. Maybe it's going to be instructions about how to gain access to tickets at a discounted rate because they're students. It's really good for engaging students and, well, if you have them, you shouldn't have them, observers. And it's a great tool for communicating really important messages in a meaningful way. So here I'm just going to say the demo announcement for now. What's really great is you have access to the full rich content editor in this space. So you have the ability to insert external links or course links. You have the ability to upload images, media, yes, videos or audio messages. You have the ability to insert documents, whether it's going to be a link to a document, or I do not suggest doing the inline preview for announcements, but you could. And then whatever other tools, including embedding items as well in this space. You also have the flexibility to post to the different sections. So if you have multiple sections of the same course and they are cross-listed into one course card, you can pick your Tuesday, Thursday courses versus your Monday, Wednesday, Friday course versus your Tuesday evening course. You can pick the individual section that you want the announcement to go to. You can also add files to your announcements in this space as well. So you would just select the choose file area and attach the file. And then, so you would have that. And another neat tool is the ability to delay a posting. You can allow your students to comment on the post. And then almost like a discussion, they must post before they can see replies from other students. What's really neat is you can enable a podcast feed and allow liking. So some of the use cases for announcements would be in the fine arts. Maybe it's a field trip or a fundraiser. in world languages, like sign language, it's a signed video of the announcement, especially when using observer roles. I do apologize for the puppy making noise in the background. And Christine, I believe you have your hand raised. Is there a question?
Yeah, so I'm a music professor and I have a course that is triple numbered. And I think where you're demonstrating here, it's posting the same material to classes that meet at different times. However, I have a triple numbered course that's undergraduate, 2 levels of undergraduate and 1 graduate. The course all meets at the same time. So is there a way to merge courses in Canvas, or maybe that's a different clinic?
No, so do you have a different course card on your dashboard for each course of
Yes.
okay. There is a way, it's called cross listing, to have them all under one course card.
Okay, do I need to contact
Your campus
technology
administrator.
services, or can I do that myself?
That is usually, I don't know if the permissions are turned on for you right now, honestly. It is a permission that would need to be turned on for you to be able to cross-list your courses, and it is a detailed process that sometimes you want a little more guidance in. I'm so sorry that the puppy is making so much noise today. So I would just caution you against cross-listing a graduate level course and an undergraduate level course together, just because the assignments will be different and you'll constantly have to make sure you're selecting the right section in order
Actually,
for
it's, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
It's actually a vocal ensemble, like a choir.
Okay.
So everything they do would be exactly the same, but it sounds like I should probably contact ATS.
I would definitely contact your technology department and make
Okay.
sure that you have permissions. If you don't have permissions, someone there does, and to make sure that that's a procedure that they want. But yes, there is a way to bring them all into the same course card to make your life easier.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so, and like I said, if you do have those multiple sections and you did need to push out a different reminder, you can definitely do that here. It's a great space. And as I was saying, with world languages, you can include sign language videos of an interpreter. And it's really great when you want your course to be fully accessible to all students. What I really like is that you can add the audio and video to your announcements to make them a little more engaging. Or maybe there was something that was performed the night before that you thought was amazing and you want to share it with the rest of the course. You can go ahead and use the insert media option here to insert that content for everyone to have access to it. So there's also an important reminder that HTML5 is now being used instead of Flash Player when within the rich content editor. So it works in Firefox and Chrome browsers. It also should work in Safari and Edge, but it doesn't typically work all the time in every platform. So just to keep that in mind, that when creating announcements, if you're using an alternate device, you want to make sure that it's compatible with Canvas. There is one more thing that I would love to show you, and that is the use of RSS feeds. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cancel this really quick. In the announcements index page, you have the ability to add external feeds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you have a little bit of playtime, and then I'm going to come back and demo this so I can get him to be quiet. Let me click over here. So I want you to create an announcement, attach a file, add audio or video, and then we'll come back and I will show you how to add those RSS feeds. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that timer to start it. You should have a few moments, and I'm gonna get him to be quiet over here while you practice and play. And that was just about 5 minutes. I am going to stop the timer so it doesn't go off. Click back over to our announcements area because I did want to talk about these RSS feeds very briefly with you. So RSS feeds are really a neat tool that allow you to add headlines and topics or blog posts from outside of Canvas and that are automatically loaded for you. Literacy is everyone's responsibility, and it's oftentimes a difficult task to incorporate reading and writing into an arts or vocational media curriculum. RSS feeds are a great way to add current events and other up-to-date news sources that can be summarized in small bell work type activities, or just simply to keep your students updated on current events and practices within your actual discipline. RSS, or also known as Rich Site Summaries or Really Simple Syndication, is a web feed format that publishes frequently updated information from external websites such as blogs, news headlines, audio, and video. RSS feeds benefit users who want to receive timely updates from favorite websites or to aggregate data from many sites. You can add external RSS feeds to a course announcement. The RSS feed will display the 15 most recent posts within announcements. Please note that feed will only display content created after you have added the RSS feed. Moreover, the RSS feed only displays active announcements. Delayed announcements do not display until they are posted. Adding an RSS feed will create an announcement for every new item added to that feed. Users that have chosen to be notified of new announcements in their Canvas notification settings may see a substantial increase in the amount of notifications they are receiving. External RSS feeds are not supported in courses using announcements redesign, so keep that in mind as well. So there are some neat places where you can go and get RSS feeds, and one of them is Playbill. For any of you theater people out there, I'm going to drag it over here. And so you can get your Playbill RSS feeds right here from this site. So I'm going to scroll down and you can see here that there's a bunch of news that's populating. And here it's going to give you everything that's related. So here's what is your RSS, and they're calling it the Really Simple Syndication. And then what I'm going to do is select one of these. Which one do I want? Do I want information about the Tony Awards? Do I want information about the Off-Broadway? We'll do production photos. So we'll do the Tony Awards playbill. And so there's a bunch of stories here. And what you would do is actually get the code for these feeds. So what I'm going to do is come and get the Playbill RSS feed URL. And what I'm going to do is come back to my announcements and just paste the link here. And I can say full article, truncated, or link only. Right now, I'm just going to say link only. Only add posts with specific phrase in title, so I can limit it to certain phrases. And then I can add the feed. So my feed has been added successfully. I'm going to click on home. And then it will start posting announcements to the top of my page once a new announcement has posted. Again, remember, it's on anything moving forward. It is not things that have already been posted in the past. It is important to note that a lot of podcasts also have RSS feeds, and you can Google name of podcast RSS feed to actually get the link that you need for the URL. Any questions about that or comments?
Yeah, I have a question, Jessica. So does that mean then that that's a constant announcement that will always be there, and then it'll be updated as the feed updates? So when you said in the beginning that we should be cautious about how many announcements we put at the top of your homepage, then even just having a regular RSS feed would constantly occupy that announcement #1 spot. Do I understand that correctly?
That is correct. So
Okay.
you would need to decide how you want to utilize your announcements in the course. You may only want to have it set to just show one, and it's constantly updating with that RSS feed about the latest article. And then you may want to remove the RSS feed when you have to post important information for students. But again, you would like set it and forget it, so you constantly have some fun, interactive, relevant content to your discipline, or you're going to reserve that space just to keep it as course announcements. But it is a feature that's accessible to you, and it really does build engagement with courses because it's not just static content on a page anymore. It's constantly being refreshed.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. It's a great question. So that's parts of communication. It's really creating that engagement with announcements that have relevant content-driven material that students will find interesting. So we've talked about quite a few things already. We talked about, let me grab this over here. We talked about your course resources that you have with modules and announcements. We talked about embedding content and audio and video. Now we're going to start talking about actual assignments and discussion possibilities before we close out for the day. There we go. Okay. So no matter what you teach, all disciplines can create a summarization assignment for students. Summarizing an article from your RSS feed that you have in your announcements could be an assignment that you post. You could have a playing/singing test. Students must upload an audio or video file of them playing or singing a musical excerpt that they found or that you prescribed to them. You could have a Google Cloud assignment or a Microsoft Office 365 assignment that they're critiquing a piece of art. And again, world languages, it could be a media recording assignment. So there's a bunch of different assignments that you can use. And let me show you about that. So I'm going to do a scroll to the assignments index page. And here I have some assignments that I've put in here to build the course. But right now I'm just going to create a new assignment. Again, you have access to the full rich content editor. If you wanted to embed a media file here, you could to provide directions to students. I'm just going to call this a demo assignment. Number 3. In this area, you would include that important information. So if I wanted to come in here and upload an image, an art piece, I'm just going to grab a picture of my puppy so you can see who's making all the noise. And then I'm going to submit it. So here's a picture of a dog, and I want you to summarize in 100 words or caption this. I can make it a fun activity where students need to caption the picture of the dog, whatever I want it to be. Come and set up your assignments, but this is where your submission types come into play. So what I'm going to do is go to an online submission. Here you can have students respond to the image in a text entry box. They are limited to just over 16,000 characters in a text entry, but they are given access to the full rich content editor. Same thing, a website URL literally means that they're submitting a link to another website. So if you had them to go on a scavenger hunt to find where I got this image from, if you're talking about proper copyright, and if this is a Creative Commons picture, or if I violated copyright, you could have them go to the website where I used it. Media recordings, they could record themselves responding to the article, again, reciting maybe a couple of lines from a play. Maybe they're going to do their vocal performance for you for trying out for whatever role. And then also the file uploads is where they can actually attach a document or video here of their coursework. So your online submissions is where it's going to get really powerful and provide a lot of flexibility. And you could pick one or all of these options for your students. So your assignments are really going to be a great way to provide that interactive experience for performance-based assessments and assignments. I'm just going to cancel that one. You also,
Question?
absolutely.
When they upload it on assignments, is there a way to have that be visible to everyone in class, or is that only a student instructor interaction?
In assignments, it's only the student and instructor interaction unless it's a peer review where their peers that you have assigned to them get to view the content that they have uploaded. If you want it to be something, and that's what we're going to dive into next, that you want the entire class to be able to see and respond to, you're going to use a discussion post instead.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're beating me to it today, but that's fine. So I'm going to come to discussions. Discussions is another place where you can really build engaging content for students who are in performance-based courses. Again, it can be done with all disciplines. It doesn't matter what you teach. It could be a writing prompt that's posted that students respond to. It could be an article that you post where they're summarizing it, or it can be a reflection from an article review that they've done that they're collaborating with and their peers are collaborating on. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this template, this outline of a module discussion here. It's blank. There's nothing in this module. What I can do is I can come and edit this. And I can insert content here for this discussion post. And I think I have one. So let me come here, file, select all. Okay. So I'm just going to paste content in here to save time. Oop, that's not it. Hold on. Let me see if I grabbed it. Edit. There we go. The images. Okay, so here I have a discussion board that has a header. We're gonna get rid of that because that's not what we need. So this is a discussion prompt where you're going to introduce yourself and your role, what grades or subjects you taught, share what you do in your free time, and upload a image. So this is an introduction post. And then I provided an example of information about myself. And these are my 4 dogs for those of you who may be interested. And this is for discussion. Now I can come in here and I can include a demonstration with a video file, a media file here. It doesn't necessarily have to be static photos. In discussions, again, you can just pick if it's an individual course or a section of students that you want to do this discussion board, or you want it to be all of your students. So this is a great way to differentiate between your different courses if they're cross-listed or not. Then you can even attach files here. You can and then you can make this a group discussion if you're utilizing groups. There's a lot of different flexibility when it comes to these discussion posts. But one of my favorites is the ability to make it a graded discussion. When you make it a graded discussion, you can actually tell them that it's a peer review. So they have to review each other's work. And then you also have actual due dates that are associated with this, that it closes on a certain time. You can open up in SpeedGrader and see all of the contributions that one student made versus having to read through the entire feed to see if they'd made their contributions to 2 other classmates' posts before. So there's a lot of flexibility. I do often select the users must post before seeing replies just because I want an authentic response. And there is the ability to turn on anonymous discussion so the students can't see the person that's contributing. So it's a great feature and tool that you can use. Again, it can be utilized with all disciplines. It could be in the fine arts realm. It could be a conversation or a group discussion on Macbeth. In world languages, it could be a literal discussion using the media recording back and forth, where one student records themselves speaking in another language with a discussion prompt, and the other students need to be able to understand what was said in that recording and then issue a response themselves. So it's a conversation going back and forth. Again, a lot of flexibility within this feature. Once you're done, you're just going to save and publish and make sure it's part of a module, which again, we're going to be talking about modules the next time we meet. Let me see. There are other things as well that are really interesting that you can utilize as an instructor. You can use your external URLs in the course navigation through a tool called the redirect tool. So what I'm going to do now is show you a pretty neat tool. I'm going to come back down to settings. And this is going to be helpful if you don't want to include all of your RSS feeds in your announcements, but you want to include current events, you can actually add a tool called the redirect tool. So what I'm going to do is go to apps, and I'm going to look for this little redirect tool. This is what's been turned on in your instance, so you have access to it. I'm going to select the tool and say add app. I'm going to create a new name. So maybe this is going to be the Playbill. Playbill announcements. And so now I'm going to come in here and maybe I just want the Playbill. Let's just go here to the main website. This is something that we're going to be utilizing often with students. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. I'll get rid of the extra HTTPS in here. This is where you can say you want to force it open in a new tab. Do I want it to show in my course navigation? Yes. I don't. And then this may be for admin settings only. So I don't want it to open in a new link, but I do want it to show in course navigation. And I'm just going to say add app. It's telling me the app was added successfully. And what I'm going to do now is look for where it says Playbill in my course navigation here. So if I don't see it right away, I can always refresh my page. And here we have the Playbill announcements. So I can come and click on this within my course navigation. All right, this might be one that I have to use an external connection with, but typically your website would be able to load right here from inside the instance, or I can come in. I'm going to go back to settings. I'm going to go to my navigation and I'm just going to disable this one because it's not working. I'll save that. I'm going to come back to apps. I can add another tool here. I can reuse this tool over and over again to add as many personalized links as I want in this course navigation. What I will say, though, is that you want to minimize the total number of links that you have in this course navigation. That's considered a best practice, is to not have too many things to link to. There's other things called ThingLink. It's for iframe only. It's free. You can annotate images and video. Pretty neat. Again, you can also embed your Google Maps using the embed Google Map links. You can add a Google Dictionary as an extension. It allows you to highlight a word or text and translate it in a pop-up, and it auto detects the language. In the pop-up, there's an option for more. You can listen to the phrase in the targeted language from that page. You can add the Microsoft Translator as an extension as well. This extension allows you to translate foreign language web pages into text selections by right-clicking and getting inline translations, or clicking on the extension symbol in the address bar once it's been installed. So this would be the add-on extension where I would come in here and, well, I would have to download the new Edge, and I'd be able to get the extension and utilize it in my Canvas account. This is also available for the mobile app, which is another neat tool. So I would love for you to get a little more practice in. We have that redirect tool for you. Is there a popular website that you typically want students to go to? You want to make sure there's a link right there within your course navigation. So go navigate to your course settings, choose the apps tab, search for redirect, add your custom link, and then refresh your browser and see it right there within your course navigation. I'm going to go ahead and start the timer so you get some additional practice time. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them. The last and final component of our training today is to talk about the ePortfolio option. From your main account level, you can click on your account. And if it's enabled, there's the ability to have an ePortfolio or an electronic portfolio. Here it's called Folio. An e-portfolio or free electronic portfolio is a collection of evidence that shows a learning journey over time and provides a demonstration of competency. E-portfolios are not generated by an instructor, but managed by each individual student or user. Students should be prompted to add their reflections on the evidence they have included in their portfolios, such as why the sample was chosen and why and what was learned from the process of developing the portfolio. So if I click on to portfolio, I'm going to open it in a new tab. This is a space where I can import content from my Canvas course or add a new project. It's going to give me a summary of everything here, what it is, how do I add my projects, can I automatically import my assignments from Canvas? And it gives me a space where I can highlight some of the projects that I've worked on as a student. It is an amazing tool that can be used for students to find employment. It can be shared out with a public link, and it can be downloaded. So again, I clicked on the account icon, I clicked on Folio, and then what I'm going to do is just to get started here, I can import from Canvas, and what it's going to do is bring up my account where I would go ahead and create the account and get started. Sometimes this is turned off at the institution level and is not accessible, but I wanted to make sure that I was highlighting it here for you today. But we have reached that time where it's the end of our presentation, and I want to thank you for your participation and amazing questions today. Go ahead and scan that badge there with the QR code or use this link that's being pasted into the chat to earn your badge for participating in today's session. Again, I really appreciate your engagement. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in our next engagement on June 26th when we talk about leveraging modules. Thank you and have a wonderful day.